Hello, everybody. Tim Hughes here. I'm the CEO and co-founder of DLA Ignite. With me today, I've got Helene, and we're going to be talking about her book, Fire Up Innovation, Sparking and Sustaining Innovation Teams. And it's a really fantastic book because it's really colorful. The first thing you notice when you open it up is the color. It's not like a black and white, boring book. Anyway, Helen, we're going to talk about this in more detail. Where can people find you?
Hi, Tim. Very nice to be here. So best way to find me is either on LinkedIn, just type my name, or on my website, and it's www.fireupinnovation.com.
Excellent. What a wonderful book.
Thank you.
Talk to us about the inspiration behind it.
So the inspiration is, I kind of always wanted to write a book, but I wanted a book that's useful. And I wanted to try to put what the experience I have when I work with group in a book. And so I'm a practitioner. I'm very practical. I do experiential training, learning, facilitation. And so I wanted this book to represent that, which is why I thought that we can't just talk or read about innovation. Even innovation is about doing. So I wanted to make a book that is about doing. And so, but I also wanted a book. I didn't want a tool book because those tool books is like, if you don't understand the principle of creativity and innovation, it's not helpful. So I have both a book that is grounded in the theories and understanding on innovation and creativity, but also very practical with tools, visuals, tips, stories. And every chapter you can do a practice, learn something, reflect something. And
yeah, because I must admit, when I thought a book on innovation, this is going to be dull. There's first and foremost, you have colors all the way through it, and we'll talk about that in a moment. You also have you've got loads of diagrams, and you've also got at the end of the chapters practices. So after you read it, there's actually something, and you actually write that down. So tell us about the colors.
So the colors is first, I realized I'm a visual thinker, and I think other people are. And then I wanted to make it simple to also navigate the book. And so I decided to have each chapter has a different color. And from the table of content, you can have those colors to the chapter. So you can remember it was in the chapter orange, which is chapter, I don't remember which one, but or the blue chapter. And so it also helps for some of us that memorize colors, remember where it was in the book. And also it's more fun.
And also you have, and the thing is you've made it practical as well.
Yes, because innovation is about trying things, failing, learning, reflecting. And so if you just read a book, you miss those elements of it. So I wanted to give a chance to people to actually do it, try it, do it with your team, do it with the partners, talk about what happened when you try something new, whether it's a different word on your way to work, or it's a specific exercise you're doing with your team.
So for business to thrive today, how do they harness innovation?
I think they have to first consider why they want to innovate, because it's a big buzzword and everybody wants to innovate, but people don't really know what it means or how the organization can really embrace that, because innovation is about change. Change is often very uncomfortable. Change means you might succeed and you might fail. And change means it's not a straight road. It's a lot of turn and twist. And so you have to be willing to recognize that you need to take that road, but also understanding that if you don't innovate in a world that is changing, you're going to be left behind. So you have no choice but innovate. The question is, how can you do it in a way that is collaborative, efficient, and support people and get people excited about it rather than dreading it.
Because, we've all been, many of us have done brainstorming sessions.
Yes.
and whether we think they achieved anything or not, we've probably done them. So what are you doing, and what are you saying that's different in here?
So first, brainstorming is just a tool.
Yeah.
And it's a tool out of a whole process, which is the innovation process, or the creative process. So brainstorming is not that important. It's just a tool that you can use. What's important is understanding the principle of innovating. And there's really 4 things you have to do. First, you have to understand the problem, dig into, get the insight, talk to your users, and understanding, am I working on the right problem? Is that really the problem I want to solve? Then the second thing you have to do is ideate, come up with ideation, ideas, options. And those are just, brainstorming is just one tool to do it. That's it. And then the third part is you have to take those ideas, develop them into solution, test them, prototype them, get feedback. And then the 4th step is actually implementing those, making them happen in real life. And so brainstorming is just a small piece of it. And even within brainstorming, there's another principle of creativity that's really important, is the concept of dynamic balance, which means you have to do 2 types of activity. You have to diverge. That's when you look at options, a lot of options. And there can be options about which problem we're solving, options about ideas, options about different ways to develop solutions, to prototype them, and then different ways to actually implement and go to market. But the second part of this is converging. And converging is making choice and making decisions. And those are really important. And same thing, they happen along that messy road as well. And when people talk about brainstorming, they always think about, let's come up with a lot of ideas. But then what do we do with those ideas if you don't have good approaches and tools to actually converge and make those decisions? And that's why people say brainstorming doesn't work. That doesn't work because they don't know how to do it. And they don't work because they don't know what to do with the 200 ideas that the group came up with. And that conversion part is actually the most important, because it's a decision making. It's when you decide what to keep and what to let go. And this is actually something that is critical and not talk enough, I think.
I would agree. Having attended brainstorming sessions, it's about bringing the ideas together. But certainly for brainstorming sessions are great because people feel that they're actually part of the decision making process. It's also making sure that there's the follow up and saying, this is what we did.
Yes. Too often they end up in a folder was like, oh, we had this great session, and then nothing happened.
And nothing happened.
And the next time people are like, I'm not going to be involved. I'm just wasting my time.
So that brings me to the next question. So this requires bringing together teams. How is it that you're able to therefore create that spark?
So the teams are often built because people have technical skills. So you need the engineer here, and you need the marketing, and so you put those people together, and they're great at what they do, but a lot of time they don't have a lot of experience about innovation. They don't have a common understanding of the process. They don't have a common language. They might not have tools. They might not be great at facilitating. And that's where sometimes teams don't work so well because of that, because you put them in a new situation with something that's different. The rules that work for business as usual or current business are not the same for innovation. So if you apply the same thing and the same approach, is not going to work. So where you can really get those teams together is by having them have an understanding of the innovation process, have a common process, whatever it is. There's different ones, but what's important is they understand it and they understand how to do it. They have tools that they can use together, and they have facilitators, whether they're internal or external, that can walk them through those steps. And if you do that, then the team is going to collaborate much better. And then the last thing I would say is also understanding how we solve problems. Understanding how, if I throw a problem at you, Tim, and I give you 15 minutes, and you throw a problem at your colleague, they're not going to do the same way. But often we're not conscious about the way that we solve problems. And a lot of the frustration in the team and miscommunication happen because it's not like one is right or the other is wrong. It's just that we don't solve problems the same way. And if we can make that emerge, and to do that, I use a tool called Foresight, which I find really useful, then suddenly we understand the value of a different way of thinking in a team. And that become an asset.
Because I guess quite often when you bring people from diverse teams together,
Yes.
you've got the group dynamics to think about, not just about the fact, because some people will sit there and go, well, I don't know anybody, so I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah, or the team dynamics really important. The culture is also really important. Like what happened when you suggest something? If everybody's excited or say, well, we just add to a pool of possibilities, that's great. If the first time you say, what about this idea? And somebody say, well, it's never going to work, or it costs too much, or we tried it before, guess what? That person is going to be like, okay, I'm not going to try that. It's not good for me. And, so it's really important how the culture and the support that we have, and how we celebrate different perspective, how we celebrate success and how we celebrate failure as well, how we take time to debrief when things work or when things don't work, so we can keep making things better. That is really important to build a team, to sustain a team, because innovation it's a sport team and it takes a long time. So it's not like a one time. It can take months, it can take years. So it's important to have ways that the team can really, ideally, love working together.
Because that's what I wanted to come on to next, which was about that innovation isn't just a one-off item, isn't it? It's something that you want to. So how do you sustain innovation in high-performing teams?
So two ways. There's the team dynamics, as we talk about, and having those common tool process approaches so we can move things along. And then the team is not the focus is on the work and the content, and not get stopped because we don't know how to facilitate this meeting. We don't know how to get from this point to this point, or we don't know how to deal with multiple perspectives, and then we fight for baby or ideas or something, rather than say, well, what about this point and this point, and can we incorporate both of them, and how we check with the user, so we have that flow that should happen. So that's one element really important. And then the externality, which is the environment and the culture of the organization. Because you need support. The team is going to need champion within the organization. They need upper management support. They need to know that they can fail and it's going to be okay. There's ways to make it early and cheap versus later. So that's really another way to manage failure. But if because sometimes organizations just put lip service. They say, yeah, we won't go innovate. But the first time something happened that is not what they expected, is like, oh, we're just going to cut the budget. We're just going to disband the team. And that's just going to kill innovation within the organization. So those two elements, the way the team function and then the support of the environment are critical to success.
Because I guess that if you're bringing people in from different departments, you're taking them away from their day job.
Yeah.
So in a way, it could be seen as, well, I don't want to do it because I'm just getting extra work. So I guess the leadership need to make sure that there's an ebb and flow and a relief going on in terms of, if you're part of this, then you don't do this or something like that.
Well, and there's different type of innovation and projects. So there is projects when people are 100% on the innovation team, which in a way makes it easier. And there's people that are halfway on their regular job and halfway on innovation, and there is always that tension, because a regular job is easier in a way because we know how to do it. We know how to show success. They're usually very strong KPI and things like that. Whereas innovation is not going to be linear and might be a couple of months at the team struggle. So when you have people that are halfway in innovation teams and other teams, that can be really challenging. And there's definitely a tension about where should I put my energy.
The next thing is about the importance of diversity in innovation. Talk to us about that.
So innovation is about change, and change is about unknown, and having multiple perspectives. And the problem that we're dealing with are more and more complex. And as we know, the pace of change is faster and faster. And if we don't, having multiple perspective helps seeing multiple aspects of the problem, multiple ways to look at solutions, and multiple ways to look at how we're going to make it happen. And diversity is diversity of everything. So it's diversity of role, function, experience, background. Diversity and inclusion. Now we talk in the US is important, but also the elements of diversity of thinking. Also, yes. Because once again, we solve problem and we need to look at it from so many angles. Otherwise, we might miss some critical elements, and we might just end up with biases, or we have like I really think it's important to break silos, because silos create biases. If we have people that think like us, everybody will see the same thing, they're excited, but we're going to miss really important point. And on the other hand, your customers are also going to have different type of customers. So if you don't understand that, you're also going to really miss some key important elements of the innovation.
I think absolutely. I think, we all have different backgrounds and different experiences, and we all look at things differently based on those experiences and those biases and that. And you've got to get people into the room that think differently. I mean, it's crucial.
It is. And it's harder, because it's easier to work to people like think like me, have done the same thing, I can relate, but that doesn't help you solve problems.
Yeah. So it wouldn't, we couldn't have a discussion about anything nowadays without bringing up the subject of artificial intelligence.
Yes.
So how does artificial intelligence impact on innovation today?
Well, there's two ways to look at it. There is the product that's going to have either an AI product, think ChatGPT, or incorporate elements of AI in the outcome. And that's one thing. And then there is the part of how is AI is going to impact the work of innovation teams. And this is obviously changing so fast. So don't quote me about something that's going to be 2 years. What I think right now and where we're at is that AI can really help. We're talking about diverging, bringing options, helping do research, provide information really quick, help us synthesize information. That's great. I think where we are important, us mean human, is when it's time for decision making, when it's time to even know how we need to prompt the AI. Because if we don't know what to ask, then, it's going in that direction. How do we need to check everything? How do we merge it with our own knowledge? So I think it's a collaboration in a sense. I think it will change, but for now, I have a friend who talk about the sandwich concept. And you start with a human, you put some AI elements guided from the human, and then whatever they come up with, you go back and decide what is important, less important, how to prioritize, synthesize, and pick.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
I've been using ChatGPT now for a year. I first started off typing in prompts and it was just giving me answers. And now it is a backwards and forwards.
Yes.
It is a conversation that goes on. Which is something that we need. And I want to get in, because we've got about a minute and a half left, because I wanted to mention this at the end. You have a 5-week challenge, don't you, at the end of the book?
Yes.
So talk to us about that in a minute.
So the idea is you read the book, you do some practice, and now it's kind of you put it all together. And it starts with start challenging yourself, innovate with yourself. So some practices, then do it with a partner, and then you can have a chance to reflect. Then doing some practices with your team, and once again, reflect, and then put it together, take a challenge for yourself, and go through the whole 4 phases that we talk, from defining the problem to trying something new. And once again, it's a practice, it's a mini practice, but I believe that once you have seen it's not that hard, then you can apply the next time you have a challenge. So
and I think you rinse and repeat, really, in terms of what you're doing is you're learning the culture and the process, aren't you?
Exactly. And we know it takes a while to get new habits and new way of thinking.
Helene, thank you so much for coming on and talking about your book, Fire Up Innovation, Sparking and Sustaining Innovation Teams. Fabulous book. Really enjoyed it. If I wanted to buy a copy, where can I get a copy from?
You can get it anywhere you get books. If you're international, Amazon, anywhere in the world, you can get the book. You can get the physical book or the ebook. And yeah. And Tim, thank you so much for this lovely discussion.
You're welcome. I must admit, I would find it difficult to understand how to use the ebook because this is such a practical.
I agree.
And there's so many lovely diagrams and stuff in here that yeah. Anyway, that's just my opinion. Helene, where can people find you?
Find me on my LinkedIn, and then my website, fireupinnovation.com. And if you have questions, I always like to talk. So reach out to me and ask you a question, have a dialogue. If I can be of help, I train, facilitate, and coach. So reach out.
Thank you so much for coming.